On behalf of the city of McAllen and on behalf of the McAllen Police Department, I want to express our thanks for inviting us here today. Many of our staff are here today because we would do this event typically on this day, and we had it scheduled for today. So we shifted it over here, and it's our hope that we don't take too much of your time. So there's a lot of material I'm going to cover, so I'm going to get right into this right away, and then we'll deal with the press questions as well as your questions at the end of today. So with that, we extend our thanks to the members of the press for making time to visit with us today. And I express our thanks to the McAllen South Rotary and John King for inviting me here today. I begin very quickly with the basics. McAllen PD's authorized 285 police officers. Now, our operating strength is typically about 30 less. So when we talk about operating strength, our authorized strength, which is 285, our actual operating strength is typically around 30 police officers less. And the reason for that is, for example, we've got, let's say right now, about 7 or 8 vacancies. I've got about 12 in an academy right now. Those 12 are actually not vacancies. They're actually on payroll, but they're not producing positions for us. So that's 20 right there. And then you've got your standard leaves and your extended absences, your injury leaves. So typically we operate with about 30 officers under our authorized strength. Our non-sworn is 146. So we have a total workforce at McAllen, at the City of McAllen Police Department, of about 431 employees. We are about 1/3 of all City of McAllen employees. In other words, 1/3 of all of the employees that work for the City of McAllen work for us under the McAllen Police Department. If we combine, let's say, public utilities into that group, that number comes down to about 25%. So that one-fourth of all employees at McAllen work for the McAllen Police Department. Our budget typically is around $31 million, and our population is about 140,000 at this point in time. Now, I made a note here to explain daytime population because our accredited population, our estimate right now is about 140, but we estimate that our daytime population rises to about 200,000. Now, we know, for example, that there are about 40 to 50,000 people that cross into and from McAllen every day through our international bridges. We know we have South Texas College just down the road with a population that exceeds 15 or 17,000 or so. I forget what that number is right now, but it's a very big number. And lots of them are not from McAllen. We know that we have a medical district that serves all the valley, and we know that we are the retail hub of all of South Texas. So we estimate that our daytime population, that is what we have to be responsive to, is about 200,000 in size. Now, we present today our crime report. And before I get started, our crime report it comes to you we measure it in 2 ways. One is crime volume, and the other one is crime rate. The crime volume is a net number. You know, if we had 10 offenses last year, that's volume. If we had 12 offenses this year, then the difference would be 2 or 20% or whatever that number is compared to the previous year. So that's just net numbers. Crime rate, on the other hand, allows us to exhibit that same number on a per 100,000 population. And when you have a growing city like the City of McAllen, then typically if you've got let's say in this case, we've got an 8.3% volume reduction for crime in McAllen for 2014, because we are growing at a rate of 2.2% yearly at McAllen, then the rate decrease is going to be larger. For example, in this case, the report will show that our crime rate actually decreased 10.3% or thereabouts. We're humbled by the accomplishments we report to you today. We report today to you that our crime volume dropped by 8.3% and our crime rate dropped to 10.3%. Here is our crime volume table. This is 2014 compared to 2013. We have violent crimes at the upper part of the chart, the property crimes at the bottom part of the chart, and you'll see the percent change. And again, this is the volume piece. So in 2014, we had 6 murders compared to 2 in 2013. Our percentage increase is 200% for murder. Rape 200%. Robbery is down 18.1%. Aggravated assault is up by 12.5%. Our violent crime total for last year was 6.4%. 182 offenses compared to 171 offenses the previous year. For the property crimes, we had a burglary record of 411 offenses last year compared to 530 offenses the previous year, for a minus 23.3%. Theft came in at 4,364 compared to 4,652 for a minus 6.2. Again, this is volume. Motor vehicle theft, 172 offenses versus 236 offenses the previous year for a negative 27.1%. Property crime total was 4947 versus 5424. Again, our volume decrease for 2014 was 8.8%. Our index crime total, I'm sorry, that was for property crime. Our index crime total is a minus 8.3%. This is that data presented to you, and this is a typical reporting. This is how we report information in net volume. That same information on a rate basis, same numbers. In other words, the previous information presented here in rate format. We had 4.2 murders last year compared to 1.4 the previous year, for a percent change of a plus 193.5%. And you can see how the same information all the way through the chart. Rape, robbery, aggravated assault, our violent crime total for last year increased rate-wise 4.1%. Burglary, 290 versus 386 for a negative 25.0%, and you can see the property crimes as well, all the way down. Again, this is the same information in a rate form presented here. So property crimes were down 10.8%. The overall index crime for the city of McAllen in 2014 was a negative 10.3% rate reduction. Now, I bring your attention very briefly to one category, and that's rape. Rape is going from 12.7, or went to 12.7% versus 4.3%. And part of it, a large part of it, is due to our a new definition. Last year we were required to modify the definition, and part of the modification of the definition is here. And I won't read it, but I just want you to understand that basically what this means. Previous to last year, rape was an offense against a woman and a woman only. The modification now includes men and other situations. So we believe that 10 of those 18 rapes would not have been captured had we used the definition that was previously in existence. So we attribute right now 10 of those rapes to the new definition, but nonetheless, that's what it is. I'm going to go through a series of charts just to show you that the crime data in McAllen for the last 24 years. This is overall crime in McAllen for 24 years, in a 24-year cycle. The only reason I'm using 24 years is because I don't have information previous to 24 years ago. So here's overall crime. If you notice, we went through a very significant increase in the early 90s. We went through sharp declines all the way to 1999, 2000. We had a couple of increases during 2001, 2003, 2004, and then again stabilized again in 08 and 09. And since that time, we've had decreases. This is crime volume in McAllen for the last 24 years. This is our 5th year in a row with crime volume and crime rate reductions in McAllen. This information presented in the various offenses, this is murder, the 24-year period. As you can tell, there's no discernible pattern. Murder goes from 3 to the lowest, 1 in the lowest year to as many as 9 twice in the 24-year period. We've had 9 murders in McAllen. Rape, again, no discernible pattern. There's an oddity there in 2000, 2001. We don't know whether the reporting was accurate at the time or not, but nonetheless, that really stands out. But otherwise, fairly consistent between 10 and as high as 33 or so in that 24-year period. This is robbery in the 24-year cycle as well. And again, robbery trending low. We had an increase last year and back to a decrease this year. Again, this is robbery in the 24-year reporting period. Aggravated assault, consistency here is a trend downward all the way through for the 24-year cycle. Burglary, same way. We've gone from as high as numbers exceeding 2,000 burglaries in a given year to less than 500 this year. Larceny, theft. This is a general theft column. This is the typically out of all of the information that we're reporting to you today, theft is the most encompassing category. In other words, 75% of all the data that we're talking about is in this category right here. Theft has been again trending south, or that is less all of the last 5 years as well. And in a 24-year cycle, we've had this is the lowest record amount of theft we've had. Motor vehicle theft. Again, significant trend towards decreases all the way through. One more thing I will explain to you today is our call for service. We have during 2014, we responded to 144,761 calls for service. This represents a decrease of 1.9% when compared to 2013. Now, when we take that data, for example, the call for service data, the call for service data does not translate to your crime data that we just spoke of. The call for service data, and let me just explain briefly. For example, if we say we go to one motor vehicle theft report once every 24 hours, well then that would be 300 and whatever number that would be in a given year. How a call starts does not necessarily mean how the call ends. If somebody calls and says, someone stole my car at Walmart, and we go take the report and then we find it in the adjacent parking lot, that happens a lot. So the call for service is an auto theft, but it doesn't end up being an auto theft. So just kind of to give you that distinction. But these are those calls for service. We answer one call for service every 3.6 minutes in McAllen. That information, that data translates to one crime against person call every 2.0 hours, one crime against property every 98.4 minutes, one assistance to the public every 8.5 minutes, one traffic stop every 23.3 minutes, one alarm call every 34.2 minutes, one disturbance call every 50.4 minutes. We go to one suspicious circumstance situation every 56 minutes, one traffic accident every 75.5 minutes. We have one accident basically on the hour, every hour, 24/7 in the city of McAllen. We record almost 8,000 accidents a year in the city of McAllen. One traffic flow problem reported to us every 100 minutes, one false 911 call every 5.7 hours, one repossession call reported to us every 12.4 hours, and we have one burglary call reported to us every 12.8 hours. The call for service information, those 140-some thousand calls I just mentioned to you, this is how that breaks out. From a clock standpoint, this is how that information looks on the clock in a given year. So you can tell from this that we're fairly busy from, let's say, 7 a.m. to about 5 p.m., 6 p.m. it starts decreasing more or less. Our slowest time of the day, this is a compilation of all the call for service data. Our slowest period of the day we start trending south, or that is to a slower period about 5:30 or so. It continues to go that way till about 9 o'clock. We have a peak about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then we peak out about midnight, and then we start going to basically a slowdown. And our real slowdown begins at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then we don't pick it up again till about, let's say, about 4:30 or so. Starts trending upward again, and then at 6 o'clock we're starting to get pretty busy. By 7 we're peaking out for the rest of the day. So this is how busy we are, and this demonstrates for you, what part of the day we're busy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the result of our McAllen community doing its part to prevent crime. When less crime occurs, fewer people are victims. When fewer people are victims, more people have prevented crime. To every member of our community, we thank you and we salute you for all that you do. We're thankful to the leadership of our mayor and our city commission. They value highly the public safety of our community. They support the department in all its pursuits, and it is because of such that the McAllen Police Department can look to a future and see a future that holds the promise that public safety will be the highest priority in the city of McAllen. We're thankful to the men and women of the McAllen Police Department. This is the result of the hard work of our police officers, our dispatchers, and all our McAllen police personnel. To them, we express our special thanks and our congratulations. And I will also say, this is a result of our community working together. You, members of the press, as I've always and often said to you, you're part of this. Through the work that you do, you contribute to the outcome in this particular cause as well. Without you, we couldn't succeed, and we thank you for what you do. For all of us, as bright as this might seem, as comfortable as we might want to get in our own corner of this country, it's important to remember that we live in an area that is susceptible and can be affected by the issues that affect our country and our world. We have the experience. We can list them. We went through the 9/11 incidents, border security that followed the 911 analysis, the drug wars in Mexico, and now we're going through the immigration matters. We have weathered and continue to weather these issues and the national and the world perceptions of those particular issues. Today, the immigration issue is focused again on us and it's on South Texas. Today, the threats of terrorism and cyber terrorism are forever present. Today, the theft of data translates to massive fraud and massive fraudulent activity. Over the last year, 18 months, we've been able to make significant arrests, as some of you may remember, regarding significant operations with regard to fraudulent activity, with fraudulent cards and so on. We are at the mercy of these things always. So we ask you today, don't let your guard down. You know, be sensitized to what's going on around us. We ask you to keep your eyes open. We ask you to keep your senses open. If it doesn't look right, it is probably not right. We ask you that if you see something, say something. Today more than ever, this is most important. Because one event, like what is affecting the world today, other parts of the world today, can bring us to our knees in a community as small as we are. So we ask you, as you leave today, you know, if it doesn't look right, tell somebody. If you see something, say something to somebody. Every piece of information has some value at some point. Our report, this entire report, which by the way is about 65 pages long, will be posted on our website today and will be available for all of you to read at your leisure. As we look forward today, it's important to not leave here today saying, you know, how great we are, or how great we're doing. It's important to leave here today and say, you know, we had a good year. Let's try to make it better, maintain, or at least let's not slip. Things are really harsh around the world. And the world is very small. I cannot overemphasize that. You know, we deal with it every day. There are things that we deal with that, you know, that may surprise you on a daily basis. The world is very, very small. So I ask you today that, you know, be proud of what we've accomplished, be proud of our city, be proud of everything that we're about in McAllen. But I ask you to not allow that to lull you into a sleep. Keep your eyes open, keep your senses open. If it doesn't look right, tell somebody. If you see something, say something to somebody. If it's an emergency, obviously always call 911, wherever you may be. And when we say call somebody, you can call anybody you feel comfortable with. McAllen Crime Stoppers or FBI or Homeland Security, whomever you feel comfortable with. It's of utmost importance. As we look forward at McAllen, there's always a question of what is it that we keep our eyes on, and what is it that may throw a wrench for it, so to speak, in our business. You know, obviously right now there are a couple of issues that we're keeping our eyes on. You know, one of the issues that is of concern to us is the immigration issue, and the reason it is of concern to us is because it's unclear. It lacks clarity across the country. This part of the world has become the focus for the American immigration issue with regard to, let's say, the litigation that is going to decide that is all focused down here. Those cases will be heard in Brownsville, so all of a sudden, the entire issue of immigration, depending on what side you're on, is going to be theoretically clarified here. But until then, all forces, depending on what side you're on, will be focused on South Texas. And we have the fact that our state system, our state prison system, is full. And we see increasing parole release rates in Texas. The last time, gentlemen and ladies, that parole rates were so high, or it was the early 90s. We were known back then as the system in Texas, the system in this country that would let 150 prisoners in the front door and 150 prisoners out the back door. And that data tells you, you know, what we suffered as a consequence. So our prisons are full again. We see the parole rates increasing, so it concerns us. Now, all of the things we've talked about, for good or bad, whichever, however we said we've got experience with these things, the one thing that I will say is this: these numbers are the product of many different things. We mentioned our community, our political leadership, our department personnel, the real substance of the issues. When people were thinking that the drug wars were causing the skies to fall in South Texas, really the opposite was happening. And there's a lot of explanations for that. But nonetheless, also out of that came a lot of state concentration. And we credit DPS. We credit DPS for taking that lead and bringing resources down here. And their heavy concentration, we believe, is part of the reason. We know it's part of the reason as to why crime is suppressed. We know what part of crime is being suppressed because of the presence. You know, motor vehicle theft is one of them, for example. Lowest in 24-year cycle. We also know that we are currently showing the highest recovery rate we've ever had in McAllen. So what that means is that less number of vehicles are being stolen, and even lesser are getting south into Mexico. Why? Because of the heavy concentration of law enforcement operations. So, you know, I told the director earlier this morning that I was going to mention this and tell him that, you know, we were thankful for all of the efforts that they do, and we cannot be naive and suggest to you that they've had no effect. I'll be the first to tell you, and I've told our staff, we recognize that a lot of this is because of the regional concentration by other law enforcement agencies, and we're thankful for that. Okay, I think we're running out of time, but again, I want to thank everybody for holding us here today, and we appreciate the opportunity to present to you today, and we thank you for letting us be your servants. Thank you very much.